polling suggests, even when a third-party candidate is added to the mix, that Donald Trump or Joe Biden is going to win this election. So do you think our country is better off under 4 more years of a Biden presidency or a Trump one?
I think both of them are pretty awful prospects, and it's really, it's a rotten apple versus a rotten orange, right? I guess you can figure out which one Trump is between those two. But honestly, for me, they're both terrible options. I think the best thing we can do is register our dissatisfaction with the system and push the Overton window towards the ideas of liberty, free markets, voluntary exchange, decentralizing power away from Washington, D.C., where so many of these terrible decisions are made, and returning that power back to either localities or the most local government, which is your own governance, and pushing the ideas of free market capitalism away from this corporate-controlled system that we currently have, which isn't really free market capitalism. Much of this may have leftists who think that this is. This is actually cronyism. We really need true free markets.
Many pollsters that I've talked to are saying that the election is going to come down to independence. What do you say to people who are open to the idea of being independent, maybe voting for a third-party candidate, but they don't want to feel like they are spoiling that election? What do you say to them?
Well, I've always said you can't spoil something that's already rotten, and that's a two-party system that enjoys record. And you get polled on how well they like Congress or how much they like the president. We're at record low approval ratings throughout my adulthood. It's just been going further and further down. And so you can't spoil something that's already rotten. The only thing you can do is be bold, step outside of the norm, demand better choices, and more voices. If you don't do that, you're going to continue to get the lesser of two evil argument continues to get us more and more evil into our system. And I think the only way to reject that is to be bold and truly be independent. If you're an independent voter, be as independent as possible and step outside of the two-party system. Register your dissatisfaction with the political kayfabe that is the two-party system.
What voters are you specifically looking to appeal to? What voters do you think are most susceptible to peeling off from Democrats, peeling off from Republicans, and voting Libertarian?
Well, in addition to Generation Z, which I think is primed to be, I think the communities that are most often ignored by our two-party system are the people we need to be hearing. Communities that don't have a lot of money, communities that are often most under the thumb of authoritarianism, which is often, again, people without means in the communities of color, both black and brown faces who routinely are more abused by our police state, whether it's the Border Patrol or the neighborhood beat cop. I think these are the people that we need to be reaching out to, who are traditionally ignored, as well as a lot of other subgenres and communities that are regularly hated on by.
What is your elevator pitch for people to vote Libertarian? Because as you're saying, a lot of voters are dissatisfied by the 2024 election, basically being a sequel of 2020. So people are very familiar with Democrats. People are very familiar with Republicans. What's the Libertarian pitch?
My elevator pitch is quite simple. If you're living your life without force, fraud, coercion, theft, or violence, your life is your life, your body is your business, and your property is your property. It isn't mine, and it's not the government's. And I think that's a message that if everyone lived with that common grace to give each other that respect, we'd be more free and more prosperous as a nation.